Module 10. Boundary, double counting, and the trail. The methodologies decide what is eligible and how much of each activity counts. They do not tell you which pot of money you are counting against, whether an amount has been counted twice, or what a reviewer needs in order to reproduce your work. Those three things are the subject of this module, and they are where correct arithmetic still produces a wrong answer. Start with the boundary because it sets the denominator of every percentage you will report. An MDB financed project typically carries several sources: the bank's own commitment, donor resources the bank administers, government counterpart finance, and other co-financing. The total project cost is the sum of all of them. The amount you are assessing is usually not. Fix which amount before you calculate. It may be the bank's own commitment, donor resources it administers, selected components, or another amount named in the terms of reference. Record it as a decided item with the document that decides it. Then the arithmetic consequence follows. Suppose a project costs $100 million. The bank commits $80 million. The government provides $20 million. The assignment is to calculate climate finance within the bank's commitment. Every ratio you report has $80 million as its denominator, not 100. Get that wrong and the error is invisible. The arithmetic checks out. The percentages are all wrong. Nothing in the calculation reveals it. The only defense is deciding the denominator explicitly at the start and stating it in the assessment. The other $20 million does not disappear. It stays visible in the ledger, so the financing plan reconciles and a reviewer can see the whole project. It is simply outside the reported amount. Now consider double counting. This arises in three distinct ways. The first is across climate categories. The second is across financiers. The third is across time and structures. Across climate categories, one activity can reduce emissions and reduce vulnerability. Both can be properly evidenced, but the same finance cannot be reported once as mitigation and again as adaptation. Where an institution reports a separate dual benefit amount, the finance goes there and nowhere else. Where it requires an allocation between the two, the parts must sum to the original amount and no more. $2 million reported as $2 million of mitigation and $2 million of adaptation is $4 million of reported climate finance, created from $2 million of money. Which treatment applies is the reporting institution's decision, not yours. Find the current instruction. Record it with its source. Make the amount appear exactly once. Across financiers, if the government and the bank both fund a cost category, the allocation must show which financier supports which amount. Reporting the total eligible project cost as the bank's climate finance, when the bank finances only part of it, overstates by the difference. Across time and structures covers reporting years, refinancing, funds, and subprojects. Refinancing deserves its own treatment. It is the case where the same underlying asset can plausibly be counted twice. The joint report sets specific conditions. Refinancing may be classified as climate finance where the asset has reached financial closure for the entire project term or has passed the break-even point. This applies only provided the client commits to originating new climate deals for that amount within the next 24 months. That origination commitment is the condition to check first. Without it, refinancing a closed or post-break-even asset does not qualify, however climate-related the underlying project is. Refinancing may also qualify where financial closure has not yet taken place, where the project is not yet fully constructed and operational, where long-term funds replace short-term bridge loans, or where financial terms are strengthened. A climate project already constructed or operational, but not yet past break-even, may be refinanced and counted, with the break-even conditions confirmed by the investment team. Build the controls into the workbook rather than checking by eye. For every row, check the climate total. This is mitigation plus adaptation plus dual benefit. Check the row's financed amount as a cap. Check the variance between them. This can never be negative. Any row appearing in more than one climate category gets a duplicate check field. Then check the totals. Component cost sum to the reporting commitment. Every row's attributed finance is at or below that row's financed amount. Excluded and unresolved rows stay visible. The disclosed totals link to the calculation cells rather than being typed in again. A retyped total is the single most common source of a figure nobody can reproduce. On rounding, do not round each row before adding. Round only the disclosed result, using the institution's convention, and keep full precision in the workbook. Rounding early is how a reconciled total quietly stops reconciling. Now consider the trail. This is what turns a calculation into an assessment. The test to design for is a replay. Someone unfamiliar with the project should be able to take your source pack and working files and reproduce one mitigation row, one adaptation row, and the headline total without asking you a question. For that to be possible, each row needs a chain that runs in one direction. From the source file and page, to the governing rule and its exact reference, to the evidence that the applicable criteria are met, to the finance isolated at the right level, to the amount, to the line in the assessment note. Any break in that chain is where review stalls, and the breaks are predictable. An evidence reference that says see the feasibility study, rather than naming a file and page, is a break. A criterion cited by sector name rather than by activity number is a break. An allocation percentage with no driver recorded is a break. A comparison design with no author and no date is a break. A methodology cited without a version is a break. Each of these looks like evidence in a worksheet and provides none record uncertainty rather than resolving it silently. Carrying 3 totals tells a reviewer exactly where the work stands: confirmed, candidate pending evidence, and excluded. Keep the 0 rows. A component recorded as 0 with a reason is evidence that you screened it. A component that simply never appears is indistinguishable from an oversight. Then state the limitations in the assessment itself. A clearly stated limitation is stronger than hidden uncertainty. Reviewers trust assessments that show their own edges. 2 closing points about the method as a whole. First, versions move. The common principles state that a major review will be completed by the end of 2026, and that version 4 captures only minor 2023 adjustments. The adaptation methodology calls its instrument section an initial framework. Record the version in force for your reporting institution and reporting period, and the date you checked it. A result that was correct under a superseded version is defensible only if the version is recorded. Second, the common principles establish no fixed quantitative thresholds. No percentage travels between institutions. The objective was never the largest defensible number. It is the amount supported by the governing method at its stated version, the project's dated evidence, and the confirmed finance boundary, recorded so that another person can walk the same path and arrive at the same figure.